Welcome to another episode of the Total Respect Show. Today I'm joined by Lyndon, otherwise known as Spam. Spam has done it all. He's been a band roadie, band management, Celtic wrestling security, and he's a bodyguard to the stars. But he's on his way, so stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy the interview.
Right, thanks for coming on today, Spam. I've seen you for a long time. Thanks for travelling up, and let's get into the interview. Where was you born, and how was your childhood growing up?
I was born in Newport, in Lyndon Hospital, which people now know as to be the Celtic Manor Hotel. It came to become that when they changed everything, shut it down as a hospital, and obviously expanded it as to what it is today. My childhood was spent in Risca, which is where I'm living currently. I had a good childhood, good parents, good support around me, no problems, everything good. Good schooling, enjoyed my time.
Did you do any sports in school?
I did do quite a few sports in school. Rugby, football, obviously forced into rugby in Welsh schools, as you know.
Yeah.
When I left school, I became more interested in sport that I was interested in. Triathlons, so I'd be doing running, swimming, cycling, and all that type of stuff. From the age of about 15 to about 20.
Do you support any rugby teams then, when you was younger?
Not really. Rugby wasn't my thing. I started to support, obviously I always supported Wales,
Yeah.
and there's an involvement with that we'll talk about later, but club teams not really.
Didn't bother, like.
No.
Was you a brainy kid, pass any exams in school, or?
I was one of those ones in school that everybody thought that would never get anywhere, never do anything. I was a bit mischievous.
You go bunking then?
I used to go bunking, yeah, I used to disappear, I'd sort of rebel against the system, really.
Yeah.
But I surprised a lot of people when it came to doing the exams at the end of the school. I did quite well, I did okay, yeah.
So what did you do after leaving school then?
I was one of the first people to go on what was then the youth training scheme. I don't know if you remember that. YTS, yeah. £27.50 for the first 3 months.
That's right.
And then £35 then after.
What was you doing on that? What?
I was in electrical.
Electrical, is it?
Yeah, electrical installations.
Plastering, then and building, but...
Yeah.
Did you do the 2 years? Was it 2 years, I remember, right?
No, I didn't. I got tempted away from the path that I was meaning to follow.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends were working in factories, earning 3-4 times as much the money that I was earning.
Yeah.
So I jumped ship and went to a factory to earn £150.
So that was your first job, basically, yeah?
Yeah, first real job.
What was that doing then?
That was a storeman in a company called Suflex that was in Risca.
Right. What year would that be then, roughly?
Oh, 1987.
1987.
1987.
You end up staying there long, or?
I was there for a couple of years, yeah. I got in there because my uncle was one of the guys that had worked there for a long time, and he got me in there. So.
Did you move on from there to any other jobs then?
I've had a lot of jobs.
Or did you go to the security, which you were going to do in a bit?
Security came along a lot later. It was basically an advert in the paper for the Millennium Stadium.
Yeah, that's 1999, isn't it?
1999, yeah.
Yeah. So what was that then? How did that come about?
I just seen it in the paper, stewarding, and it looked like something that I wanted to do. I wanted to be involved with people. Yeah. I've always been a people person. And that
was the Cardiff Arms Park, wasn't it?
No, it was when it opened up as the Millennium Stadium. It was just before.
Oh, yeah. Right.
1999 it opened up, ready for the Rugby World Cup.
And that's when the job came about now?
That's when the job came about, yeah.
Yeah. So what was you doing there? Pitch security and...
No, not at first. I did 10 years up in the stands as just a steward and security up there. Make sure everybody was behaving themselves and just a normal stewarding role, really.
Was there any trouble there then?
There'd always be trouble, but I mean, in the gigs there'd be trouble. People get overexcited, had a few drinks, pushing and shoving. The main problems really was in a rugby where people just don't know when to stop.
Yeah,
you know, they'd have too many drinks for them.
We've all done it, haven't we?
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that again as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any funny stories you remember in it when he was working there?
We once had Johnny Vegas in the section, and obviously I was told keep an eye on Johnny, make sure he was okay. He was there with his brothers for.
What was he there for then?
He was there for a rugby league match.
All right.
He's a big St Helens fan.
Yeah.
And it was St Helens and Wigan, and obviously I kept a distance from him for most of the time.
Yeah.
When it came to the end of the day, I said, Johnny, do you mind if I have a photograph and an autograph?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I gave him a pen. I wanted him to sign a piece of paper I had, but he tore my top open I had on, and he wrote on my shirt,
Yeah.
"You make me feel as safe as an angry condom." And I've still got that shirt. I've still got that shirt to this day.
Yeah. So he's just mad in real life.
He was very funny, yeah. He was
what you
exactly
see, like,
as you see, yeah. Guinness all spilt down the front of him, and
yeah.
a very nice guy, yeah.
What's the worst trouble you say you've seen there?
In Oasis, the mentality of Oasis fans,
Yeah.
it was just carnage. There was fighting going on all over the place. People throwing full pints down from level 6 down to level 3.
Yeah.
Obviously hitting people.
Where was that then? In the Millennium?
That was in the Millennium, yeah.
Yeah, in the Millennium.
I mean, there was things sparked from that behaviour going on all over the place. Because obviously people out with their girlfriends' wives
Yeah.
being hit with full pints of beer,
Yeah.
they wasn't taking very kindly to that. So
That was probably the worst.
that
one,
was the
right?
most testing we've had, yeah.
Right, we'll go back to the security a bit later on, but I first met you in 2005. Was it 2005 you come to Celtic?
2005, yeah.
Celtic Wrestling?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. How did you hear of Celtic Wrestling, and how did you get involved with it?
I seen a poster advertising one of the shows at Cathays Community Centre. I'm not sure what the name of that show was at the time.
Right.
But I thought, yeah, I'd always liked wrestling, I always watched wrestling. There'd been nothing really that stood out until that point, local to us.
Yeah.
So I seen that poster, I went along, watched the show, it was brilliant. You had people jumping off the side of the building in there, and all sorts of stuff going on.
'Cause I got it in my head, I'm sure you contacted me, and you said I do security as well. I don't know if that could be right, but...
It may be.
Yeah.
I know I spoke to Cayman
as well.
at the end of the show, and he said, we had got a conversation going,
Yeah.
and he sort of said, do you want to get involved in this? I don't know if he meant security, whether he meant as a wrestler or a trainee wrestler,
Yeah.
but obviously I was interested, and we all linked up from that, really.
Yeah. How did you find it doing security on the wrestling shows?
It was very testing, particularly up in Merthyr. Some of those rock and wrestling shows on a Saturday afternoon were pretty airy. There was a lot of alcohol involved and a lot of fiery characters, to say the least. But yeah, it was really good.
Because I find them for crowds, the kids, especially in the Gurnis, are a lot wilder than anywhere else. I mean, it's like their parents leave them here and they just... So...
Definitely. But these rock and wrestling shows, it was mainly adults, wasn't it? It was the over 18s and... Well, debatable whether they were over 18.
But I remember at the time, it was so bad, it was even joined by Rambo and Scooty, it was like 2 of you. And I think it was the system days, when they were like an heel team, whatever, they got system.
Yeah.
And they used to come out play hell, didn't they? And
well, we brought barriers in, didn't we, to make things a little bit easier.
We had to, didn't we? But, stop them getting killed. But,
yeah, it needed... I mean, you had some characters in that crowd, people that supported Celtic from the start.
Yeah.
Like Warrior, Kathy, Nathan, Marie. They were all there week in, week out. They were the loudest ones out of them all, but I think they policed a lot of it from winning as well.
Yeah.
You know, when people would step out of the line over the other side of the barriers and maybe could have given us a bit more problems, they would sort of step in and help out a little bit with that. So,
what do you think was your biggest problem you had when you done security? Do you remember any memorable ones?
The system. Anytime the system was involved, I mean, I had some great banter with Johnny and the guys in the system.
Because they got you involved as well, in ring as well, didn't they?
They got me involved in a lot of the storylines, yeah. And we had a great time. You know, it was very testing at the time,
Yeah.
because obviously I was getting involved in the storyline and things that was going on
Yeah.
with that, and then whilst I was doing that, obviously I couldn't see what was going on over my shoulder and around the rest of the venue.
Yeah.
So it was these times that we needed somebody like Rambo to be looking on as well.
Extra pair of eyes,
Yeah.
I remember one show, the coil was snapped in the ring. You remember it because you had to run, and I think the wrestlers took it to the outside, and you was under the, the ring trying to fix the coil, was it? Can you remember that?
I can remember that, yeah. I mean, the ring was...
The box of bombs, really.
yeah, it was bad, but that coil is an integral part of that ring. Without that coil being in place, there is no support, there is no ring as you would know it.
Yeah.
It would just be a collapsed mess. So yeah, I was, on the occasion you're talking about, I had to stay under the ring and hold this coil in place for the duration of the match.
If I remember right, you was under the ring, and I can't remember who was wrestling at the time. It could have been, I think it was Cayman, Tommy Dean, I'm not sure, but they'd gone out, they knew the ring was broke, they'd gone to the outside fighting,
Yeah.
and I think it was 6 wrestlers all had to get out, and we all had to put our backs under the ring, lift the ring up for you to try and
Spring back in,
put
yeah.
the spring back in,
I
and
mean,
it's a bit of a show, like, but
Well, this ring was very important to all of us, really. I mean, to me especially, because it was an ex-World of Sport ring
Yeah.
that people like Giant A-Stacks, Big Daddy, and Rollerball Rocco, and all these wrestlers that had used in the past,
yeah,
and we'd seen growing up, and it was, even though it was a liability, it was something that none of us wanted to see go, really.
yeah, but you was glad when it went, no?
It was glad when it went, and the one came with a nice big thick padding, and it all
Yeah.
slotted together in 10 minutes. But it was history, so.
Yeah. One fight, big fight, probably one of the biggest in Celtic wrestling, was Cayman versus Steve Corino. Let's have a look at picture you before we start. Right, how did you find that match? And like I said, you had your work cut out going on at all, when they went all over the place. What was your thoughts when Steve Corino picked up a bottle of Bud and smashed it and started cutting Cayman with it?
Well, if it had been anybody else other than Steve Corino, I would have been more concerned. But obviously, the guy's pedigree, where he came from, WWE, ECW, you know, he was a professional, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
It was still worrying, because it was a real bottle, it was real blood, it was a real cut.
Did you know what was going to happen?
I didn't know, no.
No?
No.
So what was your thoughts thinking, oh mate, is this gone a bit?
Like I said, I had belief in Corino, really, and Cayman, that they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
It was wild, it was real blood, because I wore half of it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I was total respect for Steve Corino. He was a great wrestler in his day. He was great with us. He spent an hour or two with us before the match.
Yeah. Nice talk with me.
He was great, yeah, and you know, even after the match, he was a good guy. Like, it was one of the highlights, really.
Right, you done security, you done the engineering on the ring so many times, but what would you say was your favourite show in Celtic wrestling?
I don't think I could put my thoughts on one specific show. I was a big fan of the rock and wrestling shows. The energy in that room,
Yeah.
for those. Some of the bands that played, that, you know, went on to bigger and better things. You know, like the Blackout, Attack, the Automatic.
Yeah.
They all got involved in those shows.
Well, I think one of the shows had 440 people in, so
Yeah.
it was pretty massive for a Welsh promotion, I mean, in a little place.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But what was your thoughts on Cayman naming a wrestler Lyndon, taking you a name?
At first, I didn't think it was a very good idea. I didn't like it. But, you know, I know once Carl Cayman has got his mind on something.
Was it a rib by him? Do you
I
think?
don't know. I don't know what his thoughts were. You know, it could have been a respect thing.
Yeah.
It could have been a rib. You never know with him. You can speak to him, and you walk away after having a conversation, you still don't know the answer to these questions. So
Yeah,
I
because
don't know.
it's stuck in it. Scouts and Am, I mean, that was
Yeah.
their names to me after all that.
Yeah.
And it was a bit confusing sometimes because your name was Lyndon Am, and
Well, that was his name.
I remember one match I had the title over Abbottleri. You remember that? And it come up and it was voted as a boxing match. And you said you got asked me, could you get involved?
Yeah.
And you end up being my corner man. Can you
That's
remember
right.
that one?
I remember that one. Yeah, I had to give you a couple of jabs to get you warmed up.
Yeah, we was on the pads, and we come out.
Yeah.
And I remember when we won the belt, and we beat Carlos and going back and that. And,
Yeah.
but it was good fun them days.
It was good. Yeah, it was.
I remember one show, 5 minutes to opening, the ring, someone was like running the ropes in the ring and something snapped again. And you was actually there welding the ring. Can you remember that one?
I can remember that because it was touch and go as to whether that show would happen.
It was, yeah.
I mean, I think it was right up to the point of doors opening that I was underneath that ring. It was another battle against that one specific ring, really. But like I said, it was worth doing. It meant something to us all. So
Yeah.
I just
So
fought
we're
with
on
it.
in it. So
Yeah.
you come good mates with the promoter Cayman, and you wasn't shy of a drink or two after the shows. Any memorable moments?
I think every night that me and him went out had one or two memorable moments. You had the unfortunate thing of trying to deal with us.
Yeah.
And thanks for that, because if we'd have been anywhere else, we probably wouldn't have gone in the pubs, never mind got up to what we did. So we got off quite lightly in Merthyr, I think.
Yeah, you took out a lot of wrestlers and you showed them the town and that. And
Yeah. We did, yeah.
I remember one night you bought Sheamus here, and Sheamus was in WWE now, and can you remember much that night? Because he was in hell of a mess.
I can't remember. All I can remember is his face when we took him in Coolers next door. I don't think he could believe what he was seeing.
Yeah.
And that's one of Coolers is one of those places really, unless you're from the valleys in Wales and you know what to expect. It's an eye opener for most people, but he led quite
but he wasn't a drinker, was he?
He wasn't a drinker. He'd like a glass of milk and all the rest of it.
He was into his proteins and that, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I think we actually talked him into having a couple of drinks that night, because we had a major snore off at the end of the night, and both me and...
Well, I remember one stage, like I said, I was working in the nightclub that day, and the owner come up to me and she said, Shirl, can you get them out? She said, look, they're sleeping over there. And I turned around, it was you, sleeping on the chair. Then you had your second win, you come back, Sheamus was trying to dance, you and Cayman was trying to get him to dance.
Yeah.
I just remember his elbow knot and he was knocking shorts back. And Sheamus said to me, he said, they're killing me. And he wasn't used to it, was he?
Well, the thing is, it would have been a long day, because obviously we would be up at the studio bar to set these shows up at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly, yeah.
And, it'd be a long show, it'd be quite tiring for everybody involved, the wrestlers because of the wrestling, me because I'm holding back people and running around and making sure everything is as it should be.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the doors close and everyone leaves,
then we go
that's when that's when I would have a drink,
yeah.
We'd get the ring down, but then after that we would start drinking then.
Then you got to actually chill out in there and enjoy yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we were too much of a problem.
No, I mean, none of you bullies or anything and drink. I mean, you're all happy, merry people.
Everyone knew us. We were like,
exactly.
Cayman was like an A-list celebrity up here. I was like a B-lister. Everywhere we went, to be fair, we were treated with respect, and everybody wanted to talk about what had gone on last week, what was going to go on.
Well, Merthyr was like your second home. You got to know a lot of people there, didn't you? When he was.
I got a lot of time from
years,
Merthyr. I come up here as much as I can. As you know, you've seen me at the festivals, and I come up here as much as I can. I've got a lot of time for Merthyr and the people in Merthyr.
How did you find some of the other famous wrestlers who come to Celtic, like Spud, Eugene and all that?
Well, they've all been there, done it, haven't they? But everybody was the same. Everybody in Celtic I never had any problems with anybody. There was no big egos. I didn't pick up on any big egos. I don't know if you did.
I did, yeah.
Did you? Well, we won't name names.
We won't name names, and I
But I didn't.
Keep it positive.
Like, they needed me, I suppose, to keep them sort of safe.
Well, you got on with everyone there. There was no cliques. You just got on with everyone, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
But
Definitely.
how do you find Eugene?
Yeah, he's good. He was good.
Yeah.
He's just funny, isn't he?
Tracy Smothers?
He was great. He was professional. He was, you know, he couldn't have spent any more time with people, really.
Very helpful, wasn't he?
Very helpful. Very knowledgeable, willing to help others, asking him questions. I believe he done a seminar, didn't he?
I don't think. Yeah, he may have, yeah. Something.
I think
yeah,
he did do it,
yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did that. You know,
We
he
forgot
helped,
about that, yeah.
he helped people.
Yeah. And Eugene done a seminar as well,
Did he? I don't know. I was late
Yeah.
getting to that show. But,
You also done Scooty for Irish Whip Wrestling and Travel with Cayman. How did you find that?
what, doing the security for Irish wrestling or spending
Well,
huge
both.
amounts of time with Cayman?
With Cayman going to Ireland, like, I mean, but I imagine that's a bit
We
of
had some great times on our travels. You know, it was a lot of stories made up, a lot of things that did and didn't happen.
Yeah.
We had a great time on all the trips. Irish Whip Wrestling, they were professional, they were great. I knew a lot of the boys anyway because a lot of them had been coming over here and spending time.
There was like a swap scheme, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Some were going over there and some was...
some of those wrestlers now, you know, you look where they are today,
Yeah.
like Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, you know, they've gone on, and Stu Sanders,
Yeah.
they've all gone on to big things within the biggest organisation there is out there at the moment,
Exactly.
WWE. So, I mean, they were professionals in and out of the ring, really.
How did you find the Irish crowd compared to the Welsh crowd, scrutiny-wise, like?
Pretty much the same. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Obviously, I didn't have people that I could look towards for backup, like I did here, because I knew people in the crowd. I knew people like Rambo that were there to help out.
Yeah.
Ryan McCarthy as well was always on hand
Yeah.
as an extra pair of eyes, and we still miss Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, he was always there to help out with any ring problems or anything. I never had none of that out in Ireland. It was just me doing a job, Cayman doing his wrestling, and we.
How did you find the Irish pubs compared to the Welsh pubs? Were they?
The Irish pubs don't know when to close.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Was it as wild out there as it is here, like? What do you say?
Nowhere is as wild as Merthyr, I don't think. But I mean, it's a different environment. You know, we were relying on people that were from there to take us to the right places,
Yeah.
the right bars, spend time with the right people. Whereas here, we knew
We knew where to go. Yeah.
we knew where we were, we knew where to go.
That's what I'm saying out there. You know what I mean? You know
It's a
where you're
different,
going.
you know, especially when you start.
Although I suppose the Irish wrestlers come with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you start dipping towards the border and you start going to Northern Ireland, you're going into a whole new territory there.
Yeah. You also travelled with Cayman to Amsterdam. I heard that was a bit of an experience, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. We ended up having jet lag coming home from Amsterdam. Because our plane was cancelled, and the next one was 24 hours later.
Oh.
We were already in the airport.
Yeah.
We'd already checked our bags in. We had minimal money because we'd had quite a wild time out in Holland with DCW. So we won in a good place when we worked out we never had any money to buy any food, any drinks.
So it was a long old stay, 24 hours.
It was a long old stay, and if I remember rightly, this was the days leading up to the Steve Carino match.
Oh, all right.
I believe.
Yeah.
It was either that time.
Yeah, because then he come back a day or two and then he had to fight Carino on the Sunday.
He was supposed to come back. We were supposed to obviously come back a day
yeah.
early for him to prepare to get things ready.
Yeah.
But obviously, because we had that delay, he more or less came back
Same
day, yeah.
Celtic Wrestling ended up finishing in 2010, but you also become a manager tour manager for the band A470 and Revoker.
The A470 became Revoker.
It's the same band,
It's
is
the
it?
same band. The A470 were Revoker before they started doing a lot of the original stuff.
I know you always been in the bands, but how did that come about, like?
I was with Stuart Cable and Killing for Company down in the Beech Tree in Estrad. They were playing a gig,
Right.
and the support band that they had were A470 at the time.
Right.
Obviously, I had a lot of contacts with my time that I'd spent with Stuart and Killing for Company.
Yeah.
And we got talking. They wanted me to help them out. They were young kids. They were only 17 years old. They needed somebody with them, you know, to keep an eye on them and
Yeah.
to steer them in the right direction, as it were. So they asked me to become their manager.
How long did that last for?
I remained their manager throughout the time they were A470.
Yeah.
The start of Revoker. As soon as they become signed by Roadrunner Records, which is a massive record label,
Yeah.
they got the likes of Slipknot, Stone Sour, bands like that under their belt. As soon as they signed with Roadrunner, I sort of took a back step. I said, look boys, there's nothing more I can do for you. You've got a company with you that can take you on further, you know, to another level.
Yeah.
So I stepped back, and I would still go on tour with them. I'd still be a tour manager.
Yeah.
I'd still help them out with the merch. I'd still help them out loading in the gear, setting up the gear, sound check, stuff like that.
How are they doing these days? They still going?
Well, Jamie, who was the singer,
Yeah.
is now the bass player in Bullet for Valentine.
Right.
Chris is in Valhalla Awaits with Snoz from the Blackout.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So they're all doing stuff, you know. They're all ticking along. Well, Jamie's doing the best. Obviously, he's with Bullet.
Yeah. You mentioned Killing for Company. That was Stuart Cable's band after the Phonics.
That was the band
He left them,
formed.
didn't he?
He was sacked from the Phonics.
You sacked, was he? Right.
Yeah, it was quite nastily, really.
All right.
He had a letter to the post to say his services were no longer required, which
That's the way to
I
do
know
it, isn't it?
affected him a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been friends all through school.
Yeah.
He'd been friends with Richard and Kelly all through school to have that treatment. I know affected him.
Yeah.
But obviously he went on the phone for Killing for Company.
Yeah. How did you first meet Stuart Cable then?
I was at, I think it was the Barfly. I was in the Barfly at the
Cardiff.
gig in Cardiff.
Yeah.
And I started talking to Stuart. He knew me anyway because I'd seen him a lot at the stadium.
Yeah.
He'd been at a couple of rugby games where he'd come on half time, do like a kick a goal type competitions there.
Yeah.
He'd been there for a couple of gigs, and so he knew who I was.
Yeah.
And obviously,
But you ended up becoming a roadie and scooty for him, didn't
I
you?
ended up as a roadie
Yeah.
at first, yeah, just helping him out, carrying his gear to the stage, and obviously then became apparent that Stuart needed somebody looking after him and watching over him,
Yeah.
because he was a very charismatic, loud individual. He was Marmite, really. You would either love or hate him,
Yeah.
and he, you know,
Was
obviously
you still with the band when he passed away?
the band was still active, yeah.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they were still active.
Where did you hear first?
I had a phone call off one of the boys in the band. I can't remember which one. It would have been either Andy or Steve.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I knew he'd been out.
Yeah.
I knew he wasn't in a very good place because I'd spoken to him 2 days before.
Yeah.
Because the Phonics played Cardiff City Stadium.
All right, yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
I know Stuart. That was a venue that Stuart had always wanted to play.
Right.
But obviously he was out of the band at that time.
Yeah.
I don't think he was all that happy about it, but you know, I never had any idea that he was going to go drinking the way he did, and we know what happened. But yeah, it was a shock. You know, it was something that.
Yeah. So where did you first interested in bands come a lot from?
I've always been interested in music. That comes from my dad. You know, growing up every Sunday, I would get up. I'd be woken up to the sounds of the 60s, really.
Yeah.
Him playing his vinyl, and he took me to my first concert when I was 14.
Who's that then?
Status Quo, end of the
right.
road,
Yeah.
Shetland Mallet. It wasn't the end of the road, but
Yeah.
it was always the end of the road with Status Quo.
Yeah.
And they're still going now, so yeah, that was brilliant to see Rick Parfitt and the band
Yeah.
in the flesh at 14 years old.
You also used to go and download all the thing there with your camper.
I always go to download, yeah, it's sadly the same as everything else.
Memorable stories from it?
Well, 2018, I was invited as a guest there. I seen Butterfly Valentine on the side of the stage. Jamie
Yeah.
got me passes, and I stayed at the side of the stage to watch Event Sevenfold as well, in my favourite band.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to stand on that stage, to look out at 80,000 people,
Yeah.
you know, one of which is normally me,
Yeah.
was something really amazing to see.
Good times like.
Yeah, yeah.
You also become friends with all the boxers in Enzo Kawasaki's gym. How should knowing Bradley Price, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
How did you know Bradley then?
Well, where do you think I would have met Bradley? Knowing how Bradley is, and how he's been throughout all his career.
Pub?
It would have been in the pub, yeah. It was up in Blackwood. I met Bradley up in Blackwood.
Right.
We hit it off, and we became friends from that day, really.
Because I've seen a few photos with you with Joe, Enzo, all of them.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, obviously,
Do you ever go to the gyms and have with them?
I did go to the gym. When I look at Enzo's gym,
Yeah.
when he was in his prime and he had all the memorabilia there, all Joe stuff, that was quite a special place to see as well. I mean, I'm still friends with Bradley to this day.
Yeah.
Bradley actually works for me now on a pitch team in the Principality Stadium.
Oh, he's down there now.
I got him a job in with me.
Ah,
so
right.
He's doing that as well.
Talking about the Principality, like I said, he was known to do many memorable concerts there. People like Bon Jovi, Springsteen, Stereophonics, Neil Diamond. Any memorable stories?
Not really. I mean, it was back. Oh God, it's got to be back 10, 12 years ago. Bon Jovi played, and I stumbled into the dressing room,
Yeah.
and to see everything that goes on in that dressing room, everything that Bon Jovi's got was something that I'd never seen before. All the vitamins, and he even had his own Calvin Klein boxer shorts stacked this high on the table.
All right.
With John Bon Jovi sewn into the waistband of them.
Yeah.
And you know, you see all the wardrobe and all the makeup that's there and everything.
So what was your job then, to take the bands to the stage?
At that time, if this was before I was on the pitch team that I am on now,
Yeah.
I was on another team, but I would get seconded to walk some of these artists to the stage, back from the stage, work in the tunnel area,
Yeah.
and obviously to get them here, there and everywhere, wherever they wanted to go, really.
Yeah. What was Bruce Springsteen like? Can you
He was
remember?
good, yeah. I met Bruce Springsteen before because I was working with a company that I worked to called Amber Dudes.
Right.
Up in we were doing they had a stand up in the NEC,
Right.
selling the product, and Bruce Springsteen's daughter was there because in another part of the NEC it was an equestrian event, and
Alright.
she's a show jumper.
All right. You also done Scooty for Keith Flint of the Prodigy. How did that come about?
It was an event in the stadium in the Principality. It was the British Speedway Grand Prix.
Right.
He was a guest of Monster.
Right.
He was there just to promote, really. He was obviously a face that everyone knew. And he needed somebody to look out for him and look over him while he was doing his promotional work around the pit area and all that. So obviously two of us got the opportunity to spend the time with him to make sure he was okay.
Nice bloke.
Lovely bloke, completely different to the madman that you would see on stage.
Yeah.
very quiet, very polite,
Yeah.
very courteous. Nothing like what you would expect of.
What year was that? Didn't he pass a couple of years later?
He passed away. He must have been gone about 2-3 years ago now, and it would have been 2 or 3 years before that. So I'd say about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah. You also done scouting for Cardiff City Football Club?
That's right. I still do. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you find that?
That can be very demanding at times. The mentality of some of the fans and the guys that attend there, Thunderbolt Tommy Dean being one of them, can be very testing at times. But yeah, it's good. I mean, I have 2 roles there. Before the game, I'm in charge of the players, player welfare. So I meet the players at the cars.
Right.
I take them into the players' dressing room, and then once they're in and safe, I go into the stadium and I become part of the response team then.
Yeah.
So I deal with any problems that are going on in and around the stadium with the football crowd.
What would you probably say is the hardest? Millwall? Cardiff Millwall? Cardiff
Swansea.
Swansea.
Always Swansea. Yeah, I mean, I worked the Swansea game about 8 years ago. I was in between the 2 sets of fans in the corner. I could see a pole ball coming.
Shit, yeah.
I never had a chance to move.
Yeah.
It hit me on the head, and I had a lump on the top of my head, the same size as that pole ball.
Yeah.
And that came from the Swansea.
Is it always trouble in games?
Always.
Always.
Always. Yeah, it's very, very high tension, a lot at stake.
Yeah.
A lot of bravado and things going on between the fans.
Yeah.
But
come June 2017, you had to do security for Ronaldo, didn't you?
that's right. Yeah, it was the Champions League final in Cardiff.
Right.
Obviously, I was part of the. It was 20 of us on the pitch as part of the pitch team. Me and the supervisor running that team.
Yeah.
When the game finished, and obviously Dave, the other supervisor, went and stuck with Gareth Bale,
Right.
and I was lucky enough to be told to stick alongside Ronaldo.
Yeah. We got a picture. We'll show you right now. So did you have any trouble protecting him, or was
It was okay. It was nothing until he started going to the crowd and trying to bring family members and people he knew onto the field of play. At that time, we already had about 200 media and press on the pitch as well, trying to get to him, get pictures of him with the cup.
Yeah.
You can see in the picture you've just shown me with my arm out, at that point I'm holding back about 200 media, and the media are ruthless in that environment.
Yeah.
Obviously they earn a lot of money to get that picture.
Of course, yeah.
And it was very hard. I mean, Ronaldo's a man of few words.
Yeah.
But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, he was one of the highest paid sports people of all at that time.
Yeah.
We had 80 million plus watching at home across the world.
Massive game. Yeah.
Obviously, pressure on me was immense, because if I did something wrong, something happened. That was always in the back of my mind. It was.
How did it come about the picture? Was it online, or who took it? Like, the picture of you?
It was online. Yeah, there was 3 pictures, I think, and they were all of Ronaldo with a cup, and I managed to appear in all of them.
Yeah.
I think it was Wales Online.
Yeah.
The internet side of Wales Online. Yeah.
All right. You also done some filming in Cardiff on the feature film Abraham's Point.
Abraham's Point. Yeah.
Starring Mackenzie Crook, Pirates of the Caribbean, Metal Detectorist programme, innit?
Yeah, yeah.
How did that come about?
That was through Stuart again. Killing the Company were booked to be the band in the film.
Right.
They were supposed to be a Russian band playing in Russia.
Right.
As part of this film. Obviously, I went down with the boys to help out, only to help them load in the gear, set everything up.
Yeah.
When I got down there, the producer said, look, we want somebody to play the part of a roadie.
Yeah.
You are being a roadie, so are you okay to be part of the film?
Yeah.
So obviously, I took that and I went with it, yeah.
Did that come out on DVD or is it on Sky?
It's currently out on Netflix at the moment.
Oh, right.
It's on Netflix at the moment.
I'll have a look at that.
Yeah.
You also appeared in the SLC school drama Gwaith Cartref?
Gwaith Cartref, yeah.
What was you doing that? Playing a part of what?
I played the part of an engineer working on certain things within the school.
How did you get that part?
I was part of a casting agency.
All right,
I joined a casting agency.
Yeah.
And they called me up. Obviously, it was being filmed near Blackwood, which is not far away from where I live.
Yeah.
In Misca. So I was put forward for that part, and it was only 2 small parts in there.
Yeah.
But it was good to do.
Did you get any more parts with that agency?
I've been offered a lot of parts, but obviously because of other work that I've been doing,
yeah.
The filming work is you have to be very flexible. You have to be ready to go more or less the next day.
Yeah.
And be there for long periods of time. So obviously I haven't had much chance to do anything else.
It's not Hollywood yet for you, man.
Not Hollywood yet, no.
You also worked the Metro Weekend Festival in Cardiff, featuring The Streets, Dirty Sanchez. What was that like?
That was good. It started off, it was the weekend of the Mardi Gras in Cardiff.
Yeah.
I think it was the Mardi Gras on the Friday or the Saturday, and then the Metro event was the next day. Right. Killing the Company were playing on the first day, which is how I ended up being there. Obviously, I did what I always did with Killing the Company, and I was staying down there anyway. Yeah. And the stage manager asked me to stick around and help out with the same sort of thing that I was used to doing, really getting bands from the tour buses, from the dressing rooms, onto the stage.
How did you find Dirty Sanchez?
Crazy, but I knew them both anyway.
You know them,
yeah, I knew Dinton and Pritchard, so I mean, I knew who they were, and I knew they were off the dial.
You become good friends with Goldie Looking Chain and even appeared on stage with them a few times. Take a look at a picture right here with them. How did that come about then?
I very often drink in the same pub in Newport, Bailey's, as a few of the boys, Mike Bowles and Adam Hussein. I was a fan anyway. So they knew me. I'd attend a lot of the gigs. I had a lot of respect for what they were doing for Newport. It was a different thing from the start, 2005 when they started. Yeah. It was completely different, and it was humour, and it was great. So obviously I got to know them quite well, and they would sometimes call me up on stage. Sometimes I would invite myself up on stage. Yeah. And I had some good times with them.
Because in all honesty, you've got a pretty good voice, haven't you? Have you heard you sing a few times in karaoke and places? And
yeah, I can sing when I've got the right frame of mind. Yeah. And there's not too much of this present.
You also appeared on stage a few times. I've seen you with Guns N' Roses, the tribute band. How did that come about?
Well, Gavin is another follower of Goldie Looking Chain. He's from Cwmbran, which is the next sort of town over from Risca, really, over the mountain. He lives in London now, and he's done very well for himself through everything he's done with Guns N' Roses. But it was association through Goldie Looking Chain, really. He'd seen me, we'd spoken at gigs, he'd seen me up on stage, singing with GLC. Yeah. So it all started, he called me up on stage one night in Blackwood Mines Institute.
Yeah.
He called me up to do one song, which was Knocking on Heaven's Door. I think I was up there for about 4 or 5 songs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right, I remember one gig in Merthyr, Ben Dover was on drums, and
right.
they'd invited me and Boat to Valley Adventures, and
right.
you come with us.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, Gav's called in Spam to the stage.
Yeah,
And I think we done about a few numbers that night, if you remember it.
Yeah, I do. That was up in what's the name of the place? Just
the Crown, the pub.
The Crown, that's right. Yeah, great place.
It was a good night, that wasn't it?
Good night. It's always a good night in the Crown. It's good setup there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Going back to wrestling, what do you think of the current UK scene?
I don't really have a lot of time to follow it. Obviously, I show interest in the people that were involved with Celtic. Mike Bird, Danny.
Yeah.
I mean, Danny is part of my family tree anyway.
That's right, yeah.
He's uncle to my 2 daughters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I keep checking on how he is and what he's doing.
Do you follow NXT UK? Because a couple of the Welsh boys went on to, you know, the big stars in there now.
You know, I've seen them in download. A couple of them have been on the show up in download because NXT have a tent.
That's right, yeah.
Up there, and it's a fairly big.
I think it's Wild Boar and Flash and Lightning Kid, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
They've all been up download,
yeah,
haven't they?
but other than that, I haven't been to see any shows. I mean, I've seen it on TV. I've seen little bits, but I'm not an avid watcher of it now. I'm very busy with everything else that's going on.
Yeah. So you're still doing, what's your current job at the moment? Still security involved?
I'm still with Calais City. I'm still with Principality.
Yeah.
Obviously, everything is up in the air at the moment. Everything is pretty much shut down.
And you worked all through COVID?
I worked all through COVID. I've gone and worked for Tesco's distribution centre in Mega.
Yeah.
Just to obviously keep going and do something. I've enjoyed it. You know, that's
when do you think you'll be back in the Principality working? Or?
Well, it's still a field hospital at the moment, isn't it? So,
yeah.
I mean, until all that's cleared out of there, there is talk of maybe October, November, something changing, and maybe some of the Ultimate Nationals may be happening with or without a crowd. We don't know yet. Or they may happen in other venues, and they'll take us to do what we do normally around the team in those venues. Yeah. But at the moment, we don't know what those venues are going to be.
Yeah. If you got one thing off your bucket list you could still do in this life, what would you like to be?
I'd love to just own a really nice boat. I've always wanted a boat.
A boat?
Yeah, I've got a call into the water.
Yeah.
I love being on the water.
Right.
I've done most things. I've had quite.
Do you fish at all, or just?
I not so much for fishing. I just like to be out there, drop the anchor, crack open a can, chill out. Yeah. You know, stay out there for a day, 2. You know, I would love to do that. That's something I haven't got to do, which I would like to do.
Going back to wrestling, before we finish off, how come you never had to go there?
I did, if you remember rightly.
I remember you training.
I did.
Did you actually have a match?
I went into a battle royale in a charity match, if you remember.
That rings a bell, yeah.
Yeah.
We done a charity walk in the day.
We done a charity walk in the day and in the night. The stage was set, the ring was set up at the top end by the bar.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Because at that time, the hall was being converted for the bowling.
Yeah.
And that was all being set up. So the only space we had was up on the bar.
Right.
And I was involved in that, and I sort of entered and left within the blink of an eye, really. straight over the top rope. But
I'll have to look after that.
I can say that I was actually a wrestler. I did appear in the Celtic wrestling ring. Yeah.
Who threw you out? Can't remember.
I can't remember. It probably would have been Cayman, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And he probably would have took a lot of pleasure, and it probably would have been a bit brutal and gung ho. But there we are. I don't know.
Right, before we finish off, just a quick fire round. I picked Celtic wrestling. I'll give you a name, and you just give me a few words. What comes into your head? Thunderbolt Tommy Dean.
Crazy, unpredictable, and a liability.
Tyler Brown.
Very funny, mad Mexican.
Chris Recall.
Consummate professional, perfectionist.
Mad Dog Max.
Mad dog.
Kate Carlos.
Hugely talented, great look.
Johnny the Body.
Very funny.
Sweet Sugar.
Very funny. Fur coat, the look.
Madman Manson.
Crazy. Totally crazy Irish.
We'll keep that in. Good.
High flyer. Yeah, just a high flyer. An all-rounder.
Method of Madness.
Great boys. Lyndon Scouts.
Johnny James.
Johnny James, really fun to work with. Great guy. Very passionate.
Death Row.
Monster.
Titan.
Picture perfect.
Danny Owens.
Very hard working. From the start to now. To get where he is now, from being the ring person, he's done very well for himself, and I'm quite proud of him.
The System.
Crazy, liabilities, heart attack material.
Last but not least, K-Man.
One of my best mates. Thankful to him for me being part of Celtic Wrestling.
Right, Spam, on that note, thanks for coming today. It's been a pleasure, and I wish you all the best for the future, mate.
Thanks very much. It's lovely to be here to talk about these things. I've enjoyed it, and if the opportunity comes up again to talk, I'll be here in a heartbeat.
Thank you, bud.
No worries.